You turn my mourning into dancing. Your love changes everything. There's something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. You turn my mourning into dancing. 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 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You turn my mourning into dancing. You turn my mourning into dancing. You turn my mourning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, there's something about your love, something about your love changes everything in my body. Oh, something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. You turn my mourning into dancing. You turn my mourning into dancing.
Good morning, Firmly Rooted family. Happy Thursday morning. Pastor Tom, Firmly Rooted Ministries. We are strengthening our roots as we're looking at, well, the last hours of Jesus' life in Luke chapter 23. He has been on trial overnight with the Jews. They took him to Pilate, and Pilate is now sending him over to Herod because Herod was the governor of the area of Galilee, and he knows that Pilate learned that he was from that area. Let's see who's on board, and then we'll dig in a bit. I'm on board. Good morning, Firmly Rooted family. Dr. Colleen, good morning. I need to get with you today. Chuck B, good morning, Firmly Rooted family. Blessings. Bert Reggiani, good morning. Ava Thompson, good morning. Let me introduce you to Karen Thompson. Karen Thompson, let me introduce you to Ava Thompson. Kevin Johnson, good morning. Good to have you on board. All right. And we're also live on all the stuff, so that's good. So we know that we had this amazing conversation. We had to use the Gospel of John, but we had this amazing conversation where Jesus is actually interacting with Pilate. And he's actually letting him know that he's a king, but not an earthly king, but a spiritual king, and that he had come to bring truth. And I mean, it's really powerful. We talked about the fact that the one thing maybe Pilate should have done is not left the room. Maybe he should have stayed and talked to Jesus just a little bit longer, and he might have found out the answer to his question, what truth? But when he finds out that Jesus was from the area of the Sea of Galilee, he decides to send Jesus to Herod, because Herod happens to be in town because it's the Passover. It's a big week, so it's important for the important Roman people to be around. But the funny thing is, these guys hated each other. Pilate hated Herod, and Herod hated Pilate, but Pilate didn't know what to do, because he felt Jesus was innocent. He's already declared him as innocent. And so he just says, you know what? I'm going to pawn this off on Herod and see what Herod has to say. When Herod saw Jesus, he was greatly pleased, because for a long time he had been wanting to see him. Herod had been hearing about Jesus, right? This Jesus was having an effect not just on a Hebrew or Jewish world, but he was having an effect on everyone. From what he had heard about him, he hoped to see him perform a sign of some sort. He was looking for Jesus to jump through a hoop, to perform a miracle, to, heal a leper, to do one of those things that Herod over time had learned that Jesus did. The NIV says he plied. He continuously sought and asked Jesus questions. He continuously was looking for some responses. Listen to these words. But Jesus gave him no answer. He remained silent. Isaiah 53, like a lamb before the shearer is silent, so he will not open his mouth. Jesus seems to only open his mouth for very specific reasons. You see, Jesus is not trying to get free. This whole trial stuff doesn't even matter to Jesus. His eyes are on Satan. His eyes are on crushing his head. This is why he came. This is what he was born for. All these people think they're important. They got some kind of status. Jesus is bouncing around between them. But if Pilate was at least a seeker of truth, and so Jesus was willing to talk to him. Herod, not seeking truth. So he gets nothing. He's living out, not my will, but thine be done. You realize at any point, if Jesus would have spoken, he may have been able to convince some Romans to protect him, just like Paul did in the book of Acts. And so they protected him, and the Jews were not able to kill him. But again, the Romans are not in control. This prisoner is the one that's in absolute control. Jesus is in absolute control, even as this prisoner about to die. The chief priests and the teachers of the law were standing there vehemently accusing him. So Herod's asking him questions. The Jews finally get there and they're just screaming and yelling, same way they did to Pilate, all the reasons why he needs to be guilty, he needs to be guilty, he needs to be guilty. No answer. So in order to avoid embarrassment, Herod and his soldiers ridiculed and mocked him. They dressed him in an elegant robe. They sent him back to Pilate. They dressed him up like a king. And that very day, Herod and Pilate became friends. Before this, they had been enemies. Strange. Strange how when Jesus is in control of all the situations, even when they seemingly seem to be out of control, the strangest things happen. Even enemies become friends. But enemies of the kingdom of God, they're becoming demonic. Religious people, people who know the Bible, and they're becoming demonic. Crucify him is coming. Crucify him. We have no king but Caesar. Ooh. Who? Whoa, where did those words come from? The enemy. I think we sit in amazement at Jesus' ability to kind of navigate. I said in the men's devotion today that Jesus had absolute wisdom. He sees both kingdoms at all times, and he knows exactly how to navigate, and he has the power to do it. I think we forget we have some of that same. Never to the degree that Jesus does, but we have the Spirit of God within us, and we can navigate today in ways that other people can't. We can't just say that person made me respond the way that I did. I just, blurted out this or no. No. Now that you're a born-again son or daughter of a good father and a prince or a princess of the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, you got some choices to make. You can choose which kingdom you're living in and walking in. And ultimately, our prayer should be the same as Jesus. Today, not my will, but thine be done. Trusting, because you're a good father, that's going to be good for me too. Because you know what's best for me. All right, I'm going to leave it at that, or else I'll be preaching some more. I think I already said hi to Kevin. Kevin, hello. Connie Sandbrake down at Firmly Rooted Greendale. Also want to try to talk to you sometime today. Kathy, hey, good to see you. Good to have you on board. Everybody, I hope that this devotion was a blessing to you. Have a great day. Make it a firmly rooted day. And may someone see Jesus in us today. Peace.